This is today.
Can you hear me? My audio's all fucked up. Hold on. Here we go. No, wait a minute. This volume is off. Anything, whenever you say something, it just comes through as hissing. I may have to relog on. Archie, you're coming through just as loud hissing. It's not from my end either. I just switched to a new channel. And I'm the only one that can confirm this. No, now I can hear your voice. No, your voice, I can hear you breathe, but when you talk, it just sounds like loud hissing. Let me see if it's my camera setting.
Yes, okay.
Holy shit. Is that better?
Yes, that's much better. Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
It was just, God, I was about ready to just blow my head up. It was just the loudest hissing ever.
Mike, I went and test drove the new Mercedes yesterday.
I saw that, and I'm glad to hear that you found them to be substandard.
Look, I didn't go in there looking for negative. My dad's got a Mercedes. I love his Mercedes. I was expecting amazing things.
Yeah, but this is their Toyota. This is their Toyota version of a Mercedes.
Well, Mike, I got to be totally honest with you. I was really disappointed in it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd fit in the front door well. I've never gone to a front of a car and thought, will I fit in this thing or not?
Yeah. I've got the coupe. My door is fucking 20 feet long.
I know. I love you've got the pillarless doors as well.
Yes. But I mean, I have to worry about, like, when I open the car, I have to make sure I'm centered, because if I'm not, I'm going to hit the car, beside me.
Yeah, no, they're massive wings. So this new Mercedes, I didn't think I could even fit in there. And then it's got all this massive screen. It's like a iPad's being glued onto the center console.
See, I have avoided buying any cars ever with nav or any of that fucking electronic gobbledygook, because you know what? It gets outdated in a year.
But in the Mercedes, even the air conditioning, because it was a very hot day yesterday in Brisbane, I wanted to turn the... Hello, Mike. Have we lost you?
No. No,
I
I'm
wanted to
here.
turn the aircon up, but it's actually through that touch screen. It doesn't have a little switch to adjust it.
Oh man, they've gone all full
Yeah,
iPad on
full
you.
throttle, full, and I hate it. I absolutely hated it. And it's got this mock carbon fiber with this glossy shit on top. It's just tacky in the extreme.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's something to be said about good old knobs and switches and
Yeah.
fucking stuff that, like, I come from, even when I was in high school, I was into the older cars, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was in high school in the 80s, but I was into the 60s and cars, okay? Building hot rods and stuff. So, I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking to an old schooler.
I got to
And
tell you, man, look, I like technology. I got to be honest with you, the BMW. The funny thing is this. Let me say one thing to you, okay? When I got my BMW now, it reminded me of my dad's 323i. He had an E90, okay? You've got an F30. So before the F30 was the E90.
I've
the
got an
coupe's gotta be
E92.
and that would be, yeah, the E92, exactly, for the two-door coupe. Now, the thing is, you know what? My car had very similar seating position. The way the window, the angle of the window, there's the front windscreen, it felt very similar. Yes, the tech was better, and I had different delivery system because my dad's was a straight 6, mine's a turbo 4, but it felt very BMW-ish.
Yes.
Whereas with the Mercedes, it's very gimmicky with these screens. They're using electric motor. I got to be totally honest with you. They're more concerned with tech and shit like that. Come on, guys, super chat. Let's see if the super chat's working, guys. LA Methwich, just see if you can super chat $1. I just want to see if it's working. They're more concerned with tech than actually the driving experience. People have moved away. Why don't they care about the driving experience? That's what I'm concerned about, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, BMW have shot themselves in the foot by getting rid of the rear spare tire and going to run flats. I mean, that killed half the ride. My mom's friend, I asked her, "Why don't you like BMW?" And she said, "Oh, the ride is always rough. I don't like them." And I said, "Well," and then I gave her a ride in my car, and she was like, "Wow, I'm so impressed. This car feels so nice." And I actually had high performance, extra stiff shocks on my car, but I had regular fucking tires on it.
LA Methwich $1, thank you. And Ken Fresno $2. The funny thing is, but I got to tell you, Snake, the funny thing is, with these cars themselves, they're moving away. They're putting so much tech in these things. The run flats, yeah, I agree with you. I totally am anti-run flat, particularly in a country like Australia. That might be okay in Germany, where you've got service centers all over the place. If you get stranded in the middle of Australia, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And those run flats, they only have a certain range as well. You know that, Mike?
About 40 miles. About 40 miles before you wear them through to the wheel.
I got to tell you, Mike, I was I think Mercedes-Benz, they've never really been, my dad's Mercedes, I love it. I absolutely love my dad's Mercedes. I've driven that a few times. He's let me drive it. It's a beautiful, they've gone backwards. Gone into this hybrid shit. So the new Mercedes, there's two models, the C200 and the C300. They've both got an electric motor and a petrol motor. So it's hybrid, plug-in hybrid. I hate that. I just want gasoline.
Yeah.
That's all I want is gasoline.
So you may be stuck with having to buy a used car in the future.
I got some really sad news, Mike.
Oh no.
You know the BMW Z4? I've heard they're going to scrap it.
Ah.
You know the Z4? I thought the
Oh yeah,
Z4.
I know the Z4.
I fucking want to buy a Z4 in the future. I love the Z4.
You know the new Toyota Supra?
That's a Z4.
It's based on the Z8 or Z4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely 100%. It says BMW on the engine. And it uses BMW suspension and drivetrain. It's just got a Toyota body on it. And yeah, the funniest thing was I saw an interview on the designer. They brought in the designer of the famous Mark IV Supra. Okay, that
Yeah.
really brought the Supra into legendary status. Okay, and they brought him in to design the latest Supra, which is a combined joint venture between BMW and Toyota.
Yeah.
And they asked him all these questions, and he answered this and that. And then they asked him, "What are you most proud of about your new Supra design?" And he said, "The
Yeah.
sound." He said, "The sound." It's like you designed the legendary Mark IV Supra. Now you've been given the go ahead to design the new, the new Supra that's supposed to be the new next generation, legendary Supra, and it's in actuality a BMW. And basically, all you've designed is the body, and then asked what you're most proud of about it, and you'd say the sound. So you're saying I'm most proud of the sound of the BMW fucking engine.
This Undertaker, $3 for the Pontiff's car. Thank you, Undertaker.
Well,
you know what, Mike? Have you driven many Audis in your time?
only older Audis. Audi Fox, the old Audi Fox.
Did your dad have German cars at all?
Yeah, he had a Porsche Speedster 356 tub. You know, the bathtub.
Fuck! You know, worth a fortune. Has he still got it?
No. It was a long time ago. And he had a Porsche 924, but it said Audi on the engine. You pop the hood, and it said Audi across the valve cover on the engine. That was back when they were joint venturing with Audi.
And actually, a bit of a story to that car. The 924, that originally was Porsche designed this car for Volkswagen, right?
Yeah.
And then Volkswagen ran into financial trouble and couldn't actually go through with it. So Porsche bought the design off them because they'd been paid as consultants to do it, and they released it themselves. And the 924 got a lot of stick. A lot of people, I thought the 924 was beautiful. I actually liked it because it became the 944 and then the 94 Doc's actually got a 944 turbo.
No, the 944s were formidable. The 924s were literal lemons. My dad had an automatic in his 924.
Mike, we don't talk about Porsche like that, okay? You're gonna talk about Porsche like that, you're gonna get out of here. Okay?
It's got an engine in the front.
It's a Porsche, okay? We don't criticize Porsche, no matter what they do, okay? Okay.
I know, but I mean, you're talking to an old schooler, man.
Was a lot cheaper than a normal
Porsche.
Okay, it was a different segment.
Yeah, that's why my dad was able to get one.
The 914, which you had,
that
was their previous array. That was the first mid-engine Porsche. Did you know that?
Oh yeah. Well, no, they made a mid-engine Porsche way back in the day.
There was never really production sort of Porsche.
But the 914 was actually marketed as a Volkswagen in Europe.
Yes, and you could get it. The problem is Porsche, apparently it cost Porsche just as much to make the 914 as it did. The 914 with the 6-cylinder cost the same as a 911 to make.
Oh yeah, because all of the 914 6s were taken off the Volkswagen production line and taken over to Porsche and finished out as Porsches with the 6-cylinder engine. So they, in fact, were, in essence, a true Porsche. And in fact, the front suspension and many of the suspension parts they shared with the 911. And
Graham Spanica, €5, £5. Thank you, Graham. I got to tell you, the other reason why I wanted to get my BMW now was I want a gasoline car. Are you worried they might go electric? I am concerned. Are you?
my friends have one, and it is electric. I mean, not 100%, but it shuts itself off at every stoplight. And
well, I've got that as well, but I turn that off. I hate it. I don't think that's. Do you think it's good to stop the engine 20 times? I don't think it is. Do you?
I don't think it hurts it, but and the way they do it, I think they take off on electric power, and then just the clutch slip starts the motor seamlessly, and so I don't think it really.
Did you know I saw a truck? You can actually listen to this. You know how you use a battery to start the car, right?
Yeah.
I've seen a truck that uses air pressure to start the engine.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You heard of that?
Yeah. No, that's pretty standard.
You've heard of that?
Yeah.
So they use a compressor to start, air compressor to turn the engine over.
Yeah. You know, big giant tractors like a Caterpillar D8, they actually have a small gasoline powered, like a 4-cylinder Ford Pinto engine up high that they start up, and then they engage a clutch with a lever to crank over the big giant diesel engine. And then once the big diesel engine is running, they shut off the small gasoline engine. That's how the big giant tractors are started.
Wow.
Did you know that? They don't have an electric start on a D8 or D9 or bigger. They have an actual engine that you have to start up first. That then you engage a clutch that it cranks over the
LA
the
Methwich,
diesel
he had
engine.
a Moke. He's talking about the mini Moke. You know, the Californian. I remember those. They were death traps. They were death traps.
I don't remember the Moke.
The mini Moke. You don't remember the Moke?
What is it, a Mini?
I'm going to call it up for you. I can't believe you can't remember the mini Moke. The mini Moke. They were made by British Leyland. British Foot and Leyland. They were British Foot and Leyland. British Foot and Leyland. I'm going to call it up for you, okay?
I can't say I know. British cars are probably the car I know least about.
Here we go. This is what they look like, Mike.
Never even seen one.
Yeah, that
they look like a Lego Jeep.
Yeah, they didn't really have terribly much in the way of protection or anything like that.
No, I don't think they passed any of the safety
California,
standards.
The luxury version was the California. There we go. It's the California had the top. It's the California.
That looks like the top of a boat. You know, boats have the fabric canopy.
Leyland mini Moke. And then actually quite valuable now. They're quite.
I'm sure they are. But in my life have never even seen one of those.
Yeah, they're death traps. People
in an accident cars.
Wasn't much different to a motorbike.
No, you're sitting at bumper height. Look at how low it is to the ground.
There were World War II airplanes that used a shot shell. What's a shot shell?
Oh yeah, okay. They took basically a 12 gauge shotgun blank, and they put it in a cartridge, and they set it off, and that's what would set the flywheel spinning that would start the big radial engines on the giant like B-29s and B-17s. And so they would take they would okay, the radial engines had a problem with oil leaking into the bottom cylinders, and they'd hydrolock, okay, because you can't compress liquid. So they'd remove the plugs out of the lower holes. They'd hand turn the motor over, get the oil out of the bottom cylinders, put the plugs back in. Then they'd put one shot in, pop it over with the ignition off, get the motor to turn over, get oil flowing through the motor, get it loosened up, get it spinning. Then they'd put another cartridge in and pop it over with the ignitions on, and then that would usually get the engine started. Have you ever seen that movie, Flight of the Eagle or Flight of the Phoenix?
No, I didn't. But
it's just where they crashed an airplane in the middle of the desert, and they rebuilt a makeshift airplane out of parts, and they had tools and things that apparently were on the plane, and there was a model airplane designer that was part of the crew, and he designed an airplane out of the spare parts that they had, and they actually built an airplane out of the spare parts and flew their way out of the desert. Real story, true story.
I want to show you this, Mike. This is what I really love. Alfa Romeos.
Alfa Romeo. The new Alfa Romeos are beautiful looking.
This is what I love. This is the 80s. The GT.
Oh yeah, no,
look at this.
Those are complete
so advanced.
To own. But
sorry,
nightmares to own. You know, these have the transmissions in the back.
Yeah, for weight distribution.
Yeah. They're just like the 924. 924 had the engine, the transmission in the back. 944 did too.
I actually went to look at one of these, and the quality was quite appalling. They were never built that well. What I liked is these. Then they revised it in the early 2000s. I actually was considering buying one of these, Mike. What do you think of this?
I think that's a pretty beautiful looking car.
It's the only problem is they're actually front wheel drive here.
Oh, that's too bad. Then they based it off of a Ford Escort or something.
No. It's based off an Alfa Romeo 156.
Oh, okay.
But they actually had fantastic. You know, this is probably one of the best front wheel drive handling cars I've ever driven. Is the Alfa 156.
Well, I won't argue that front wheel drive cars.
What happened to Alfa Romeo? I had one of these. I actually was sold it. I sold
it.
This.
That's a classic. That's a true classic.
The 105. They call that the 105.
Yeah.
Did you know I sold it for a friend? I was selling it for him. I sold it. I sold it for 80,000. Do you want to see a picture of it?
Holy shit!
Do you want to see a picture of it, Mike, or not?
Sure, I'll see a picture of it, but I know those cars. A friend of mine was very into those cars and had a number of them. Well,
I listen to this, Mike. A friend of mine. Well, actually, we're not friends anymore. I had a fight with him because he's into conspiracy theories, right? And I said, mate, he's so fucking rich. Like this guy's a multi-millionaire, right? He's so fucking rich, and he's always talking the world's going to doom. It's all doomed. And I said, his name's Andrew. I said, Andrew, you're so fucking loaded. What the fuck are you talking about? The world's going to crash. Anyhow, he bought one. Listen to this, Snake. He bought one from second owner. I think it was second owner. It had like 70,000 original miles on it.
Yeah.
1974. I want to bring it up for you because I thought you'd like this.
Kilometers.
He fully restored it. Look at this. He had it fully restored. What do you think of that? This was probably the most beautiful. It's called a 105. Now, I believe with these 105s, they have got this was actually a 2-liter one. I believe the 1800 is slightly more desirable, but the thing is, I drove it, no power steering. Look, I just want to show it to you, Mike. Look at this car.
Looks just like my friend's. Beautiful car. Chrome bumpers.
This was all original. Look at that there. It's like showroom. This is like mint. He spent a lot of money.
Beautiful.
And he didn't fucking make much out of it. He restored it. Then he should have left it unrestored. I think he over-restored it. He did a lot of things that were not necessary. And I got to be honest with you. Look, this is to show you the size. This is a standard Corolla. Look at the size. See, it's dwarfed. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. It's like an MG. Like an MG or an old Datsun.
I mean, in the day, these were big they weren't considered small, but this is like 19. Look at that.
Yeah.
I sold it to a lady in Sydney, very wealthy lady. It was 80, a lot of money. It was
about
this
the
was
same
this
size
sale
as
was a
a-
disaster because the title, Mike, the title was in the mechanic's name, and he went to England. Oh my God. And I'm selling an $80,000 car. It was a fucking disaster. Absolute fucking
Yeah.
Mike, it was a disaster. That's the only words I can use to describe this car. It was a fucking disaster. That's the only thing I can say about it. I got a bit of video. You want to see a bit of video of it?
Sure. My only experience with British cars,
Okay,
I
look
owned
at this, Mike.
a Triumph TR4A.
Look at this.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
And you can see the paint. It was actually a bare metal restoration, complete. It didn't need it. This is the thing. I've got a bit. He put so much money. This was 80. He bought it for 13,000, and it was. You just do a bit of a sympathetic restoration, but he fucking went full hog. And I mean, this is concourse now. This is It's absolutely amazing. But it didn't have to do that. It should have been left with the patina. I would have left it. They did the interior. But I would have left patina. You know what I mean? I would have left patina.
Look at that little dash cluster. That's cool.
See, there's no fucking iPads in it. The gear knob, I couldn't work out where the gears were because it didn't have the configuration on the tree there.
Yeah, or it had the old school gear configuration like Porsches have, where first gear is where reverse is.
Yes.
So you're always grabbing for reverse when you go to first accidentally.
What do you think? It's beautiful. This was the 2-liter. Look at it. Isn't that fucking amazing? No rust. These rust out. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And so many of them have been butchered. You know
look at those bumpers. Look at that back bumper, how it wraps all the way around, all the way up to the fender well.
What did you think of that, Mike? That is a fucking beautiful car. I love this car. You know that? I loved it. I sold it for my friend. Lolex! How are you, Lolex?
Archie, it's been a while. What's going on, Mike?
Hey,
man.
How you doing?
I love you. You know that?
I love you.
This is the car show. We're just talking automobiles.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of these cars you're showing.
No, that's okay.
Wow,
Graham Spinnaker, €5. What does he say here? He says, GTG, enjoy. Great. What the fuck does that? Enjoy your day. Great chat. Watch out for the mate on your roads. Mate. M8 on your roads. Mike really knows his stuff. Yeah, Mike knows his shit. He does. That Alfa Romeo, that was actually, we're not friends anymore. We had a fight. It's funny that I seem to have arguments with people, Mike. I don't know if you
really.
Yeah. So
I can't believe that.
Yeah, you're such a pleasant, easygoing guy, Archie.
I know. I don't understand, Archie.
No, I gotta be honest with you. I feel like this is a shtick he plays, but in real life, Archie is very calm and docile.
Yeah.
Let me show you some of these. So this was an Alfa Romeo that I sold.
I love their emblem, their cloverleaf emblem.
The cloverleaf is absolute. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the front.
And their coat of arms. Yeah, man. That's just
look at that. Look at this. This is some photo.
Wooden steering wheel.
Look at the kick plate. The kick plate. Alfa Romeo.
So fucking badass.
That's my son. I took my oldest son, to come and have a look at it. He loved to.
You know, the new Julias are actually really nice. I know a girl that has one. Really
nice. Yeah, the Julias, and you know their new little hot rod too. Funny thing is though, the front doesn't open. On the new little hot rod.
I got to be totally honest with you. These Italian cars, they will break your fucking heart.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
And your wallet.
Hey, Mike, did you ever see my Mercedes Benz I was looking after for a while?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, you showed pictures of it.
Do you want to see it again?
What are you going to ask
or
no? You want to show it to us?
I'll
You
show
want
it
to show it? Pull it up, Arch. Sure.
Okay, here we go. Here we
Let me
go.
ask you a
This
question
was-
when we're done with this. I want to ask you both a question.
Look at that. That's now $250,000. Can you believe
Yeah.
that, Snake?
Very cool.
Snake, $250,000 fucker
I've
Roonies.
only-
I could have
I've
bought
only-
this. I could have bought this.
Oh, don't even play that game, Arch. We could have bought cars.
Archie, here's my
You did
old
a
race
wee-wee.
car. It's the same color blue. It's my first race car that I built.
Look
Arch,
at, this is when I went to pick up my kids. Look at this. This
correct
is
me if I'm wrong here, Arch, but this is not. Do you know what's that movie, Casino, with Sharon Stone? She had the white SL. That's not the same year as this, right? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Casino.
Sharon Stone, Mercedes SL. She had an SL.
Yeah, I think it was a different SL than this one.
It's a different year, right?
This one has a different roof.
Yeah.
The rear window posts are different.
Oh no. That's a R107. That's an 80s one.
Okay. This is
Yeah.
That's an 80s one.
This
yeah, that's
one's
a very.
this one's
This
special.
is the model before that. This is the model before that. Okay.
That's what
Yeah.
I saw these.
And this is the model that was after the gull wing.
Oof.
Yeah,
Gold.
okay.
You know the gull wing. This is the
Beautiful.
model
yeah, I
after the
know
gull
the
wing.
goal wing. I know the goal wing.
So how's
Talking
that
about
for heritage?
$250,000, you know.
Sorry,
If you're talking about really expensive cars, those gold wings, I mean, those are through the roof now.
multi-million.
Oh yeah, those are
multi-
three
Look,
$3
what do you think of
million
that?
bucks
Isn't that just
now.
a beautiful? Look at that. Isn't that just a beautiful Mercedes Benz? Look at this.
Coulda, woulda, coulda. Listen, this bleeds into the question I want to ask.
You
Mike.
know, I love this car, Mike. Did you know I love this car? Did you know that, Mike? You see the care
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all
I've
right,
had. Sorry,
No, I love it. I love how much you're just like, no, I love this car.
there's
How
my
much
two
did you
kids.
buy
These
it?
kids now are 15, and they used to sit on the parcel shelf. My wife hated this car because it didn't have seatbelts. They used to like to sit in the parcel shelf there.
Mm.
Look at
Yeah.
little kids. They just loved to sit there.
It had roll down back windows.
No. That was the Pagoda hardtop. That came off. They had little side clips. No, that was a
if you back
hardtop.
up a couple pictures, I thought I saw a roll down window
Here.
handle roller.
No, that's the handle to take the roof off.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
This is a convertible. This is a convertible. Look,
A hard
This
top
is-
convertible.
the kids love this car. They love to stand next to it.
Oh, we should
There
go
it
back,
is.
Arch. Go back. Let's look at that.
That's my
Mamma
wife.
mia, good for you, Arch. Damn,
Look at that. That's
Beautiful
without the
wife.
roof, Mike.
beautiful wife.
Oh man, that is just pure sex.
I love that car so much.
Okay, this
you know
this
that?
leads me to my question here. So, if you guys can have any car in the world, open checkbook. You
Mhm.
guys have probably already done this, but if you can have any car in the world, price is not an issue. What would it be?
Mhm. Well, the thing is this, right? I got to be totally honest with you. Okay. There's different cars. You can't have one. I need,
You only
if
get
you've
one,
got
Arch.
unlimited money, you're going to,
Yeah, you got to kind of like slim it down to a type.
what I
or
would say
something.
is personally, as a classic car, this was actually pretty, it's not a car you could live with. Okay.
You gotta go classic if you're only getting one car. If you holy shit,
That's
Arch.
from my younger days too. Look at that. Fuck.
How old were you here? Like 30?
Archie, pull up
32.
1948 Ford Woody.
Just 1 minute there. JB, €2. We love Mike the Snake.
Thank you.
Now I
Pull
want
up.
to I just want to hang on. Did you like those Woodies? You had a Woody, didn't you?
I had two of them. My father and I restored them. That's why I want you to pull
Are
it
they
up.
valuable now? Are they valuable now?
Oh, they're $1 million cars now.
Holy fuck. Does it hurt you that you don't own it still? You could have still owned it.
Oh, absolutely. Because my dad divorced my mother and left them in the garage. Basically, they were mine. And I ended up selling them. And my dad then came along and took the money because they were, technically were his. But I
This is
could
the
have
Ford.
left them
Woody.
there. And they would have ended up being mine because he
You
was
had the
out of
wagon, the Woody
picture.
wagon. This is it.
There it is. That's what my dad and I restored right there. And we
How much are
redid
they
all the
worth
wood.
now?
In fact, it was the same green and everything.
How much
That-
are they
that-
worth now?
$1 million bucks.
What?
Yeah, probably. I'd say
What
800
year was
to
yours?
48. That's the 48 grill right there.
They're worth $1 million. You're joking, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
How much did you sell it for?
At the time, I think 5,000 each. And my dad and I restored the wood. The top was wood stringers with fabric over
Maybe
the
he was
top of
angry
it.
that you sold it. Maybe he was angry you wanted to sell it.
No, my dad had bailed. My dad had divorced my mom, or they divorced, and he had moved out and was living his life.
He found a new woman, didn't he, or not?
He'd found many new women before
But
my
Mike,
parents divorced.
Mike, don't you
But
think you seem very bitter? But
Be right
don't you
back,
think
guys.
maybe your mum, she could have been a really good mum, but maybe she wasn't a really good wife to your dad?
no, my mom was 100%
No,
legit.
but you know what I mean. No, I'm just saying, like sometimes.
No, she was a good
No,
wife
I'm not
to
saying she's a
him.
bad woman, but I'm saying she didn't give him what he needed.
Well, I think that's what all men end up discovering about their women. You know that after. I mean, this is after having 3 kids. I was 15. You know, people change. Um, you know, they had gone from living in like a city to out into the country, so
Your
life had
dad was
changed
quite wealthy
completely.
as well, wasn't he? He had money.
No, no.
Then
He
how's he
was
buying
middle
Porsches?
class. He was an engineer.
He had
Um,
Porsches. That's not poor man toys.
Well, that was before me. He was young when he was younger when he had the speedster. He
You know
when
what the
I
Speedster's worth now?
yeah, same $1 million as that Woody. But when he lived with us, he had what was called a cabriolet, which is a tall windowed speedster. It's a
What's that worth?
convertible, but with a tall regular
What's that
Porsche.
worth?
Probably $750,000. Any of those old bathtub Porsches are worth fucking huge money right now.
Holy shit, Mike. What did we do wrong? Okay. I went to school. I had a teacher who actually had a tub Porsche coupe.
Yeah, I don't think they made anything but a coupe in the bathtub Porsches. They
No.
didn't make
They
a
had the
four-door.
convertible as well.
Okay, what
Yeah.
are we looking at here? Station wagons? What is this?
Yeah. Well, you said coupe. They didn't make a sedan, but
I
yeah,
know.
they
No,
made
but I mean
convertibles.
they had a convertible or you had a coupe. A fixed
That's the cabriolet. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
But
The cabriolet was the convertible.
fuck me, Dad. You know how valuable they are now?
Yeah, I do.
Does he regret selling them or you can't live life like that?
I don't think my dad he moved on and doesn't really never look back at all. I look back and really, if I'd kept all the cars I've owned throughout my life, I would be sitting like Wizard or somebody with 100 million in the bank. I've owned so many classic cars that are worth so much now. It's not even funny. I had a 1968 Pontiac Gto Judge. I owned oh shit, I owned those two Woodies, or with my dad. I've had 6 or 7 different Corvairs, one of which I built into this race car that I put a 327 V8 in the mid engine because they normally have the engines in the back like a Porsche. They had an air cooled flat 6, just like a Porsche. And I took the engine out of the back and put a 327 in through the door, right in the middle of the car, and made a race car out of it and raced the shit out of it.
Pantera was your favorite, but out of all the cars, the Pantera is your favorite?
Pretty much, yeah. Out of obtainable cars, yes. On the days that, after my parents were divorced, and on the weekend that my dad had the kids, we were forced to scrunch into his little 924 and drive to Oakland where he lived and he lived in this little
Was he
fucking high
happy
rise.
after he left? Was he happy when he left or not really?
Yeah, no, I think my dad was pretty much happy the whole way along. My mom was the one that got stuck with the kids with a big giant property, kind of overwhelmed, and she ended up selling that property and buying the house I'm sitting in today. That's why I stay here and I pay way more than I should because there's a lot of sentimental value with this house. I've been here since 1985. I moved in with my mom, then I moved out, and back in and back out and back in and back out. Went through my bad period, lived up in Seattle, came home. This has always been home. This has been home since 1985, So when people say, "Oh, you're paying so much for rent, and why don't you move?" It's like, fuck that shit, man. This is home. This has been my home since 1985. But you see that nice baby blue Woody? I mean, that's what they can look like when you hot rod them out. You put the right wheels and tires and you slam them.
Aren't they worth more original? Are they worth more
original?
original?
Yeah, no. Original, I think they'd be worth a lot more. But if you take and resto mod one like this baby blue one, and put like a modern engine and modern drivetrain and stuff.
Did you ever own a Ferrari?
No.
Any Italian?
No Italians. I had a Triumph TR4A.
You had a Triumph? Let me just call that up there. Triumph
TR4A.
TR4A.
Now the difference between the A and the regular TR4, see the bump in the hood?
Yeah.
Okay. That's because the A had SU carburetors that needed that bump relief to clear. And they also came with independent rear suspension. The regular
Did you
TR4,
like it?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
What happened to that?
I sold it off.
They're not worth a lot of money now, are they?
Oh no, they're worth big money today. Big money.
Okay. They're like 100,000, aren't they? They're not like worth $1 million.
I don't know about that, but they definitely are climbing rapidly.
Do you miss that?
Yeah. Although at the time I was more into the Corvairs, and I
Did you
bought
ever have a Corvette?
I've never had a Corvette. The engine that I put in that blue car I showed you came out of a Corvette. But I've never owned a Corvette myself. No.
What about a Chevy Camaro?
I've not owned a Camaro, but I owned a Pontiac Gto Judge. They call them goats. GTOs. They call them goats.
Why is it called the Judge? Tell me that.
Well, John DeLorean. You know the guy that made the DeLorean, the snowmobile, the snowmobile. Well, they called they called that car the snowmobile. Well, John DeLorean was the main designer for GM at the time, and he designed the Pontiac, and he designed not the goat, but the Judge, and he put the wing. The Judge is differentiated by the performance package, the wheels, the wing, and it had a 455 in it. And
kayak selling $10. Mike, you are a legend. Nice work, sir.
Oh, thank you.
They like you, Mike.
But yeah, the Judge was like Pontiac's highest option, highest performance version of the GTO. Because the GTO is basically just a Le Mans. Okay.
Rolex, your family they have quite a lot of cars, don't they?
Oh yeah.
You've had Porsche. Your parents had Porsches, didn't they?
Yeah, both my mom and my dad.
Fuck! What did your mom have?
She had the SUVs. She had two versions. She had the Cayenne, and then she had the Macan. And then
your dad's had 911s all his life. What the fuck how did he win the lotto of life?
Who said he had 911s his entire life?
No.
No.
You have a 928 somewhere there along there?
He's had a few 911s, but he's just worked hard his entire life. He's had a hard life, dude. He deserves them for sure.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
My dad's the same way. He was an engineer, just busted his ass. Worked at one point later until he retired. He owned his own little engineering firm.
Yeah.
And before that, he worked for various different companies. But he always just was a working man.
Yeah.
Made
Holy
made
shit.
okay money and was able to buy a few extra toys. Kind of like where I was at before the fires. I was just my pot was growing faster than I was spending, so I was doing really well. And then I
man.
just went from hero to zero overnight.
It's
Yeah.
terrible, Mike.
Yeah, that sucks.
Market here. He's got some information. The judge was named after a laugh-in sketch featuring Sammy Davis Jr. called "Here Come the Judge." It's probably true. But DeLorean designed it, and it was
Yeah.
their high option GTO.
I don't know what went wrong with the DeLorean. He had his own car, the DMC.
Oh, it was a complete fucking lemon. It had no performance. It had no
Okay,
performance.
it used the same engine that was in a Volvo. They had that V6, right?
Yeah,
They should have
that-
gone for an 8. They should have gone
that-
for American 8, shouldn't they?
On top of it handling like absolute shit. It rode like shit. The only things
Have
it
you
had
been in
going.
one? Have you been in one?
Yeah.
No, I've sat in one, but I've never driven in one.
I've driven. Those things are very.
What, you've driven in one, Lolex?
Yeah, my old neighbor
Who
used to
had-
have a DeLorean.
And what did he say? What did you think of it?
To a 12-year-old, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool as a kid, but now I saw one pre-COVID, so 2020 or 2000.
They're worth a lot of money, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not very nice.
Kind of, but
They're not very nice cars. They're slow.
yeah, they're absolutely dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And-
for their time, they were reasonable. They weren't dogs for their time.
No, they were dog. Even then, they were dogs for their time. Yeah, they didn't even have performance for their time. They had shitty low powered engines. They fucking didn't.
Well, they were a
More of a
2.6
fraction, too.
V6. That's not a shitty low powered engine.
Yeah, compared to the engines that were being put in cars at the time,
They were making them in Ireland. Okay, the quality. They were people who didn't know how to put cars together. Were putting cars together. It's always
those cars had a fiberglass body that had a very thin stainless steel sheet metal body placed over the outside. So they looked like they had a metal body, but
they
in
were
fact
fiberglass. You sure?
they were fiberglass covered with a thin sheet of stainless steel around the outside. And they were literally just fucking like kind of a joke of a fucking car. They were all of DeLorean's crazy concepts like all balled up into one in a rush because he was under the gun because he was doing these crazy coke deals and he was forced to.
That was entrapment, but that was entrapment. That wasn't him. Okay.
It was him. And
he was desperate to keep the car company going. Do you understand? It was a
Yeah.
sacrifice that had to be made. Do you understand that?
Sure. No, it was a man's dream trying to keep it going. Absolutely.
And they let Pablo Escapade got away with it for so long. Why couldn't they let DeLorean get away with it?
What did you call him? Pablo Escapade?
The Pablo, that they let him get away with it,
Pablo
didn't they?
Escobar.
Yeah, they let him get away with it.
Yeah.
So why couldn't they let DeLorean get away with it?
Well,
Can I ask you that?
Look what they did with what's his name from was it Panama? The guy who the CIA was feeding all the drugs to and also feeding military to, and then when he got discovered, they outed him and they made him look like he was the most evil person in the world, even though up until that point, he was basically being fucking spoon fed by the fucking CIA.
But the
until
CIA does that. That's okay. That's what happens when you play with snakes. Sometimes you get bitten, Mike. You understand that? Mike the Snake. If you play with snakes, you sometimes get bitten.
Yeah.
Remember that, Mike. Okay.
Tell me about it. I've got a coral snake around my arm for that basically sums that all the way up because
Yeah.
a coral snake's a fraidy cat, little runaway snake. But if you're stupid enough to let it get its short little fangs in on you, you're a fucking dead man. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like basically don't fuck with it or you're dead. That's what the coral snake signifies on my arm. And it's kind of like, you know, uh, how I felt about myself and how I feel about myself because I'm super mellow and I'll run first. If somebody comes at me trying to fight me, I swear to God, I'm a pussy. I will fucking run. But if somebody
Yeah.
chases me down, then I'm picking up the biggest thing I can find and I'm smashing your head in until it's a fucking pulp and making sure you're not going to get back up and hurt me. And that's just me.
Mike the Snake, I want to ask you something. In all modern cars that are there now, right?
Yeah.
Do you think BMW is the best brand? Like, has got that driving spirit? What car has driving spirit now? I don't care. You tell me. Does Porsche have the driving spirit? What cars have driving spirit?
Porsche definitely.
But Porsche's expensive. I mean, bang per buck. What's
Yeah,
good?
for
Because
sure.
let's face it, we're middle class, overweight white guys, right? We don't have a lot of money.
The
Okay.
best bang for buck. If you want performance, I mean, all out performance, and be the fastest guy on the road
Yeah.
for the least amount of money, you'd go buy yourself a Nissan GTR.
Oh, those are great cars.
500 they're not the sweetest looking things, but they're 550 horsepower, twin turbo V6, all wheel drive, and there's nothing on the road that will fucking touch them hands fucking
Even a
down.
911?
Not even a 911.
GTR will fucking smoke a 911. Sorry about the cursing. My friend got one back in 2010, and I rode with him on the freeway. That thing is a beast.
They are beasts. They're absolute beasts. And they're kind of they didn't go over all that great, and they're still being made, I think, today. They not too many sold, but bottom line is, out of all the cars made, you got GM making their 700 horsepower Camaro and Corvette, and you've got Dodge making their 700 horsepower Challengers, Red Eye, and all that shit. But those cars are rear wheel drive and will wrap yourself around a tree faster than you can blink. Okay? Because anybody that doesn't know how to respect fucking power in a high powered car, especially in a big American car that doesn't have suspension to match, all right? You're gonna wrap yourself around a tree before you can blink. The Nissan GTR is the full package, man. It's got handling. When I had my purple race car, I was the fastest thing on the track. I do track days, and I owned that track because there rarely did people drag their real full-blown race cars out to just track day them. I was shaking mine down, learning how to drive it and stuff, so I was taking it to track days, and I was king of the track. I was passing everybody, and then one day I'm like, la la la, I'm just passing everybody, and then I realized I didn't even bother looking in the rear view much because nobody was ever really in my rear view, and all of a sudden there's a fucking car in my rear view, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And so I fucking stepped it up a bit, and I pushed it to 100%, and I started like locking the tires up a little bit right going into a turn and shit, and I drove as hard as I fucking could, and this guy stayed 6 inches off my bumper. Finally, I had to fucking wave him by. And what was it? It was a fucking Nissan GTR with slicks on it. And he went by me. Fucking, he went right on by. I tried to hang with him. No chance.
Don't the new Corvettes give the new GTRs or the old GTRs a run for their money though?
Oh yeah, the new Corvettes are formidable.
Yeah.
The mid-engine Corvettes are formidable. And same with the Ford and the new Ford GTs. Anything mid-engine, contemporary mid-engine is is off the chain performance wise, but they're also price wise. You know, like the Ford GT is impossible to get your hands on one.
Oh yeah.
The Corvette, if you try really hard, it's kind of like a Rolex. You can get on a list and you can wait, and maybe you wait a couple years, you can get one used at 20,000 over what they sold for. But you can still maybe get one. But yeah, any of the newer mid-engine cars today are formidable. Now Porsche, they've always been expensive, but they've always just made a really hot, nice, beautiful, fast race car, or race slash street car. All their street cars are basically race cars. You know, I mean, and if you want to race or you want the ultimate street car, you go buy a GT2 RS or a GT3 RS or whatever, and fuck, man, you were king of the road.
Yeah.
In
Short wheelbase though, Mike. They got super short wheelbases. So like
they're not that short. They're not that short.
I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't Paul Walker die in a GT3 or was it GT4?
What's that?
Paul Walker, do you remember the guy from the Fast and Furious franchise?
No, he died in the Porsche's GT.
It was just GT.
Yeah, that's the one that had the Formula One V8 in it. That was a completely different design. It had no 911. There was nothing 911 about it. It was its own complete fucking specialty car, and it had a Formula One engine that was deemed for Formula One, but then never used, and so that's why it if you pull up sound clips of a Porsche GT, it just sounds like music to your ears, man. The Carrera GT, that's what it's called. And it was a true supercar, and therefore, unlike a 911, which has some compliance and some ability to go over bumps and ride on a bumpy road, it was a flat kind of like a supercar format, which is flat, very, very little suspension, and not for a bumpy road. And all those kind of cars, again, will find yourself wrapped around a tree if you try to drive them fast on anything but track conditions. They're for putting around on the street, looking good, and then if you got a spare set of slick or sticky tires, you take them to the racetrack and you drive them fast. You have a fun track day. Then you put the street tires back on and you're looking good. But if you try to take one of those things out, yeah, it had a V10, not a V8. Thank you for correcting me.
What car was this?
The Porsche Carrera GT. It had a V10.
But
if I'm not mistaken, it was a Porsche's. Porsche was involved in Formula One at one point, or it intended to be, and they developed this V10 Formula One engine that never made its way into Formula One, and so they applied it to the Carrera GT, and I swear to God, I mean, it redlined at like 12,000 RPM or higher. If you pull up audio clips of it, man, it's like, I mean, there are very few cars in this world that sound as good. Maybe some of the newer Koenigsegg's or some of these new crazy supercars that are come out have like some Lamborghinis with the V12s. They're comparable in sound, but maybe even not. That V10 in the Porsche just
have you had a chance to go in many Lamborghinis or Ferrari Exotica? Because you had the Pantera. Does that open up doors like that?
I got to sit in a Veyron, but I didn't get to drive in it. I got the chance to sit in the driver's seat and go, wow, ooh, ah. I never got to drive in it though. But the thing is the Pantera is kind of like the first real contemporary supercar. At the time in 72, when it first came out, it was the fastest car in the world made, went 176 miles an hour, I believe. And it kind of had the same mid-engine format as Ferrari, as the Magnum PI.
I don't understand why it failed. Why did the Pantera fail?
All right, it
They
failed
said the
for a number of
quality.
reasons. It failed because it was marketed through Lincoln.
Yeah,
While Ford's making their Mustangs, okay, their GT350 and their GT500, and their regular Mustangs with V8 and of every option, and their Mach 1s, all right. Um,
yeah.
Over here at the Lincoln dealership, which was basically a Cadillac dealership, Lincolns were 100-foot long Cadillacs.
Land
You know?
yachts, so that they
Yeah.
put it to the.
Okay. They sold Panteras through their Lincoln dealerships. So when you went in to your land yacht dealership, in the middle was this Pantera sitting there, like completely out of place, and so it wasn't marketed properly. First of all, second of all, it did have teething problems. Initially, it had some overheating issues that were fixed very quickly. Um, the air conditioning didn't work very well. It was kind of a scrunch fit. Wasn't for guys over 6 feet tall for sure. Um, in fact, I had to wear my racing shoes when I drove mine because the the pedals are so close together. You couldn't push the gas pedal without hitting the brake pedal at the same time if you were wearing fat sneakers, because the footwell just it narrowed down to such, the pedals being so close together. So it wasn't perfect. It also rust is a rust bucket. The way they
It rusted.
designed
You have rust.
mine didn't, but the way they designed it, the frame didn't have holes drilled in proper places, and so if you drove it in the rain, water got into the frame and pooled in the frame and just sat there forever until it rusted through.
Oh,
And
how bad was your rust?
mine had no rust. But I'm just saying the car was known as a rust bucket, and you had to be careful if you're looking for one. And if you're looking for one today, you have to make sure that you inspect those areas. The same as with the Porsche 914. I mean, where they placed the battery acid would leak and drip all over the fucking rear of the rear shock tower and everywhere, and it would just eat the fucking whole inside side of the fucking car away. And their sails, the rear window posts, that part of a car is called the sail.
Yep.
They were filled with foam inside, and that foam would get waterlogged and stay wet and would completely rust out. And so like every car, has its problems and its good points. But the Pantera, there's still a lot of really good ones out there that were preserved.
Was the
They were kept in
Mangusta better
garage.
than the Pantera?
The Mangusta, that's
Yeah.
just the model that came out before the Pantera, and it's now that's $1 million car because they made very
Mangusta.
few of those. The Mangusta. They
I
made
don't know if
very
you've ever remembered that Kylie Minogue video. Just a quick point for Rolex there. Na 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 na. Remember that one, Rolex?
I don't.
That song in the 2000s, Kylie Minogue. Na 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 na.
Oh yeah,
Da, 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 da. She's driving a Mangusta.
yeah.
Did you know
No,
that?
the Mangusta was De Tomaso's masterpiece before the Pantera, and it was another Ford uh, 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 joint venture, and they were powered by Ford engines, but they made one Mangusta with a Chevrolet engine. They made one. Okay.
And was that better?
Well, I think it was just it was maybe an experiment or something. But out of the factory,
because Ford was
out of the
getting dicky with
factory,
them. Ford was getting dicky. Remember that?
I don't. But all I know is that Mangusta or De Tomaso, had a real tight
How
relationship
about
with
the
Ford.
Champon? Remember the Champon? De Tomaso Champon? Do you remember that?
Is that's the one that looks kind of like a Maserati biturbo, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was kind of it wasn't sports car-y enough looking for me to even give it my attention. Um,
Okay.
I like mid-engine supercars, so um you talk about a fucking complete lemon. The Maserati biturbo was like the worst
Hey,
car.
I like Lamborghinis
I didn't hear what you said. You like
blowing
Lamborghini?
up. You know that Maserati biturbo is one of the most unreliable car in the world.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry?
That's what I was beginning. That's what I was just
Sorry,
about.
what was that?
That's what I was just saying. I was just saying that. Um,
Mm.
the biturbo
Why are
has
Italian
been like,
cars so beautiful but so horrible?
you know what they call an Italian tune-up on a Ferrari?
What's that?
Go out and rev the shit out of it and beat run it really hard, because for some reason they had a lot of carbon buildup. Their valves got
Yeah.
stuck a lot,
Actually, it's
and
funny. I know somebody who had a 300 SEL 6.9, and it was always playing up, like it was sputtering a bit. The
yeah,
mechanic said, "Right, I'll fix this." He goes out, vroom,
yeah,
cleaned it through,
yep,
and it's amazing. Whatever you did was amazing.
yeah. You just knocked all the carbon off the plugs and the pistons and got it running better. Yep, and when an Italian car fucking fucks up and leaves you on the side of the road and is just unreliable, they called that having character. Now, when an American car did the same, they called it a piece of shit.
Actually, it's funny. The ad for Alfa Romeo, if you look at the brochures, I should have known this when I was buying my 159. The catalog said, "You buy the Alfa with your heart, not your head." I
Yeah,
should have seen that as a
you sure did.
warning.
You
A
know what put
fucking
Alpha
warning.
under? What finally killed Alfa Romeo off? Or no, I'm thinking of Lancia. Excuse me. Sorry. Back up. Lancia is another Italian car.
Lancia is amazing. The Stratos, the rally
The
car.
Stratos.
They
Did
use
you
the
know
Dino V6.
you want to talk about a small car? Go look at some videos and see some race videos. Those guys could barely get in the car. I mean, literally, that car, you think of a small car and then scrunch it up to shorter than a Pinto, and you've got the Stratos. Okay. It was powered by a transverse mounted, like a sideways mounted Ferrari V6. So it wasn't length, like running this way. It was sideways like a front wheel drive car. They basically took the front end of a front wheel drive car and just moved it into the middle, kind of like the Toyota MR2.
They were a great car, the MR2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes,
Did
they
you ever?
were. Did you know they actually had a form of four wheel steering? It was kind of a mechanical four wheel steering. It's just
Funny
as
thing
the
is, the
suspension
MR,
moved.
the MR2. Oh, we got Tommy. Hello, Tommy. How are you?
Hey, man. How are you?
Hi,
Hey,
Tommy.
today's
Hey,
segment
Mike.
is sponsored by Tommy's Rubber Mats. The
Tommy,
rubber
Nice.
mats. Rubber mats. By the way, you know what I've discovered, Snake?
Yeah.
Snake. You know what I've actually done? In my car, it's got a proximity sensor. Whenever I walk to the car, it turns the lights on and unlocks it, right?
Yeah.
That gives me the fucking shits because
Oh,
my studio is right next to the garage. So between the brick wall, it'll sometimes sense that I'm picking up the key. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Vlad
So
makes a post in the chat here. The Lamborghini Miura is the OG, and I have to agree with him.
Just
the-
very
the
quickly. So what I've actually turned it off in the computer. So I've turned the proximity sensor off. I don't
Yeah,
want it to
It can
fucking,
be a bitch. It can be a bitch.
especially if your studio is right next to the garage.
Yeah.
Tommy, I love the rubber mats.
That's great,
Rubber
man.
mats.
Hmm.
That's great.
Yeah. The Miura, just fucking beautiful car. For street cars. If we
No,
were
you know
talking,
what the first? They say the Miura was the first supercar. You know what the first supercar really was?
well, Porsche made their original
No, it's
little.
actually considered the 300 SL Gullwing.
Yeah, okay,
That was
but I
the.
mean, it's
Hey, I'm
still
just going to
front.
take a
It's still
toilet break.
front
Can you
engine.
entertain? Can you entertain Tommy? I'm just going to go for the toilet. I'll be back.
Hey,
I
Mike.
mean,
Hey, Lolex.
hey, the Go might have been a supercar, but it was front engine, and it might have had the power, but I mean, supercars kind of they got to have a mid-engine to really, not necessarily mandatorily, but most supercars, are mid-engine, and now you got some exceptions like what is the Dodge Viper, and the Corvette, but they're still considered mid-engine because the engine's set so far back. They're still actually considered mid-engine. It's just the driver's placed behind the engine. But they're still kind of considered mid-engine, although I would consider them front engine because the driver sits behind the engine. Um, but yeah, the Miura. Now, if you want to talk all out, all time, most beautiful car ever fucking designed, ever thought up, ever designed by anybody, we're talking the Ferrari P4. Ferrari P4, P5. That car had the most sexy, swoopty doopty, beautiful lines, most perfect fucking perfection in every sense of the word. I mean, there was nothing you could do to that car to make it look any better. Um, and they raced it in the 24 Hours of Le Mans and stuff. It was a race car. It wasn't a street car. Although they did, I think they did have a few street versions. But yeah, Ferrari P4, P5, most beautiful car ever fucking designed, ever made, hands down. Like no, you just can't even argue the fact. Although today, there are some really, really awesome looking supercars that have come out. That are shapely, and Lamborghini's got some really shapely, beautiful looking cars. Ferrari always has made shapely, beautiful cars. Koenigsegg and um, you know, oh shit, there's 100 new supercar companies out now that make cars that are really, really fucking insanely beautiful. You know what car that still outperforms most of these supercars is the Lotus 7, which is this looks almost more like a go-kart. It's just a little open-wheeled thing with little itty-bitty fenderettes, and it's got a 4-cylinder in it usually, although they make some killer ones with a V8. But it's a real basic one. It was built originally by Lotus, and then went on to be a kit car, and they called it the low cost Lotus, and it's just it looks, you'd laugh at it. It does not look like the fucking monster of a fucking car that it is, but it weighs 1,100 pounds. And with a 200 horsepower four banger in it, it fucking outperforms, you know, these $1 million supercars on the track. On that show, Top Gear, it was on the fucking top of the row, against every fucking car ever made, and they got their hands on everything that was cool that, has been made, you know, recently. And yeah, the Lotus 7, and you can still make one today yourself in your garage. Um, and slap a Mazda Miata engine in it, and go out there and kick Corvette's asses with it, with the skinny little fucking like Prius tires on it. For
Wow.
real.
That's amazing.
And yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest looker, but you know, nobody can contest its performance.
Sure.
Hey, Tommy, how are you, man? Tommy.
Good, man. It's my
Plastic.
birthday today.
Hey, happy
birthday!
birthday,
No
Tommy.
way, Tommy.
Plastic's going to sing happy birthday to you. Plastic.
It's my dad's birthday today too, Tommy.
Hey.
Wow.
Yeah, how cool is
You
that?
blocked me.
Sorry?
You blocked me on StreamYard, man.
How have I blocked you? I haven't
It
blocked you.
says someone has blocked me on StreamYard, man.
You're joking. How's that possible?
I don't think that's possible.
It's not possible to be blocked on StreamYard.
I'll send you a screenshot. I'll show you.
I'm just checking StreamYard.
Now earlier I was having audio issues with Archie and had to reload, and so maybe something happened there, Arch, when he tried to log on during your issues.
Okay, let me have a look. Let me have a look there. Just hang on. I'm just having a look. Just having a look because I'm doing this on the ArchieLuxury channel, not on the live stream channel. I'm just having a look if you're blocked. Okay, just hang on.
Diego, my dog had explosive diarrhea in my
There's no
last
one
car,
blocked.
so
There's
yeah,
no one
he's not
blocked.
allowed.
Hidden users. There's no hidden users.
So
You're
who
not
is
blocked.
blocking all these people, Archie? Because someone's blocking these people and I'm getting the flack for it.
Yes, send me the screenshot because I don't know how this is possible.
Yeah, isn't 300 or somebody who's fucking got something against you, Lolex, is calling
Dude.
you out for fights and shit, and it's not you doing it.
Someone banned Pavel because I think he saw me and him arguing on Tim's stream, so they banned him on Archie's, and now I'm being called to someone banning a shitload of people.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Pavel said-
Somebody's out there doing evil.
Yeah. And you know who it is? It's probably, I don't know who this Alexander guy is, but he doesn't like me and he has a wrench. And then Three-Hander doesn't like me and he had a wrench at one time. So these guys are banning people and saying it's me.
Wow, that's so nasty.
Good morning,
don't you
South.
think?
No, it's bad for you, Arch, because they're banning your donors like Pavel, the guys who are giving you money. These guys
I
are.
know. I'm just gonna unban everyone today. I got to tell you
Get rid
something,
of wrenches in general.
Tommy. Lolex, can I ask you something?
Yeah, what's going on?
As a Porsche man, how does my 330i compare to your Boxster? Your not your Boxster, your
Cayenne?
what do you
Called.
Cayenne? How does it compare?
Number one, it's a Cayman, Arch, and you know that.
Oh, Cayman.
That's right.
Don't
Cayman,
think
yeah,
I don't
that's
see
right.
what you're doing there. But
And it's also mid-engine, and it's very
Yeah.
light.
it's very light. How does it compare? I've told you this on the phone when you got it.
How
You gotta
how many
compare-
horses have you got?
The
I-
Cayman,
yeah.
Cayman is gonna walk all over your fucking BMW, dude.
Okay,
Sorry to say. Sorry to say.
Right.
Here's the thing, Arch. I told you this on the phone when we talked.
Yeah.
You got a very solid, good car. It's a
Yes.
car that nobody could talk shit about.
Yep.
It's not flashy. It's in no one's face, but it's a nice car.
Yeah.
You can pull up
It's
anything.
that's exactly right. It's a nice car.
My car draws attention in a bad way. When I take
Oh, it does. It
Yeah.
does draw attention. What
Yeah.
color is your car? Red.
Archie, you know the color.
It's the
Why are
gray.
you doing this? You always do this. Tommy, doesn't he always do this shit?
Tommy, what's
Oh.
that car as your avatar? What the hell is that?
That's a Koenigsegg Jesko.
Dream car?
I guess so. It's extremely expensive.
Koenigsegg is a pioneer in the car design industry. He's designed a new valve train that is camless. The valves are solenoid actuated by electric, and so you have full control over the valve's timing and lift. And it's fully electronic. It gets rid of all the valve train, the cam, all that shit. It shrinks the engine by half the weight. That's how his new supercar, that 3-cylinder supercar, that's a
Does-
hybrid.
Does anything compete with the Veyron? But nothing can compete with the Veyron.
No, the Koenigsegg, the 3-cylinder Koenigsegg competes with it.
I think
There's a number.
Jesko's faster than the Veyron.
There's a number of cars faster than the Veyron today.
Yeah.
The Chiron or the Chiron, the new Bugatti is faster than the old Veyron.
Citroen. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're not gonna underdo themselves after they come out with the Veyron. The new Veyron, I think, is called the Chiron, Cheron, and it outdoes the Bugatti. The Veyron. The only problem I have with those cars is they sound like absolute shit. They sound like a fucking diesel truck going by.
Real quick,
They have this W16 VW based engine in them, quad turbo, 4 turbochargers. Okay, 4 turbochargers, and they make like 1,200 horsepower. So there's, you know, they're monsters, but they sound like a fucking Cummins diesel. They literally sound like a Kenworth driving by when you hear them take off. You don't hear any supercar sounds when you hear one take off. You hear this low grumble as they tear off at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They don't have that high whine, high pitched sound like that a Lamborghini has, you know, that matches.
Can't they have fake sound to fix that up?
Sure, but fake sound, man. I don't know, fucking supercar. That's
Yeah, but BMW uses it on the i8.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, BMW is still cheesy, man. You know, they're still in cheese mode. Okay,
Jeez.
you're still in cheese mode in the M8. You know,
Cheese
Yeah.
mode.
You know, BMW only gets serious when you get into their race cars. Okay, the M3, the M4, M5 race cars. Now you're talking BMW.
Guys, we got 5 minutes to go. Please super chat now. We're going to be wrapping up the show. I got to take my son to a maths class, and then I'm going to be broadcasting from the car for the ArchieLuxury live stream. This is on the ArchieLuxury. So now, super chat your pittance now.
Yeah.
Please, super chat.
I sent my PayPal
very
to you.
Good snake. I love Mike the snake. I got to tell you something, guys. What's wrong with a Cummins diesel? I love Cummins diesels, don't you?
Nothing, man. They're badass. Cummins makes fucking great diesels, man.
And they've also put them in the Ram, haven't they? The Ram, Cummins.
Yes, they did. And that's what makes the Dodge big truck diesels the best diesel truck to own.
With a Kenworth, you'd often put a Cummins diesel with the Kenworth, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, you know, when Kenworth is the coach maker, okay,
Yes.
and then you could have Cummins or there's a number of Caterpillar is called Pussy Power. They call Caterpillar Pussy Power. But you could have a Caterpillar diesel engine. You could have a Cummins diesel engine. You know, but it all is in a Kenworth. Now, International makes both their coach and their engines. Okay, International Harvester, right?
Yes.
They make both. But like some things, big trucks like Kenworth and White and Mack,
Western Star, Mack has gone. Mack has gone European. That's European drivetrain. Mack is European.
Yeah, a lot of these cars, a lot of those big trucks, you know, their drivetrain was optional. You know, you had your choice, and I don't know when some of them may have changed. And
how did you get on plastic if you're blocked? Tell me this.
Archie, you got stay on a few seconds after. I got to talk to you about that because it's crazy. You got people banning your donors, dude. That's nuts.
So I just unblock everybody every show. That's what I'll do.
Dude, it's not. I don't know. Somehow people are getting banned. Someone banned Pavel. Why would they ban Pavel?
Why would you ban
Well, no,
Pavel?
I heard that somebody banned Pavel because he wrote something. He posted something 3 times in a row, and somebody didn't like it, and so they banned him. But that seems pretty minor for a banning. I don't know what he said, but that's what I heard somebody mention last night. And that was the reasoning behind it.
Okay,
I heard.
someone's banning people, and then
But
they're saying that I'm doing it. So I think you should go over who has wrenches and start chopping them down. It should only be a few people like Bear and someone.
Now,
Like,
if you have a wrench, can you ban somebody from another fucking stream?
no, Archie's stream.
No.
Oh, well then
It's only the
you
comment section.
just take away every fucking wrench from everybody, man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know. But they get
testing.
guys. I'm wrapping up in a minute. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
No.
Black.
I'm gonna go out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for a drive in my BMW.
Plastic. Here we go.
Plastic. Look at this in the Beamer.
This
Look
is
at
a
this.
Nice. Breaking the rules. Breaking the rules.
No, it's not in my Beamer. It's his Beamer.
I know. Still, I was
Had my
eating too.
breakfast. Eating, drinking, and wearing a Pepsi in the Beamer. That's live.
Nice. Man, I'm envious. My Pepsi is my next grab when I'm able. If I'm ever able again.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Jesus, Plastic. You want to get pulled over? What are you doing?
Drinking, wearing a Pepsi, and the Beamer. In the Beamer.
Nice.
In the Beamer. Only a fancy boy doesn't need to drink in the Beamer. Who's a fancy boy? Not me.
Look at that thing on his face, man.
I know, it's pretty crazy.
I love it, man.
Yeah, did you pick
It's
that
kind
up?
of a combination between like a helmet, a fucking mass murder mask, and some sort of cool ski mask outfit. Looks aerodynamic.
Exactly. Okay, guys, I'm wrapping up. We'll be back tomorrow. More car chat. Same place, same time. See
Same
you
bat
later,
time,
guys.
same bat channel. Remember that after Batman?
Yes.